Hi, everybody. Pastor Dave here. Welcome back to the Crossroads Lent 40-40 Challenge, where we are reading 40 chapters of the Bible during the 40 days of Lent. Today is day 15, and we are getting into the Proverbs. We've actually been spending a lot of time in the Proverbs here at Crossroads because we've been seeking wisdom. And as soon as we get into Proverbs chapter 1 here, you will find out very quickly why it is that when we were seeking wisdom, we went to the Proverbs. So let's go ahead and dig into the Proverbs and see what we can find out. Proverbs 1 says, "The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for attaining wisdom and discipline, for understanding words of insight, for acquiring a disciplined and prudent life, for doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to the simple, for giving knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. For understanding proverbs and parables and saying the riddles of the wise." And then he goes on to say this very interesting thing. "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. They will be a garland of grace around your head and a chain to adorn your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not give in to them. If they say, 'Come along with us, let's lie in wait for someone's blood. Let's waylay some harmless soul. Let's swallow them alive like the grave, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We will get all sorts of valuable things and fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot with us, and we will share a common purse.' My son, do not go along with them. Do not set foot on their path. For their feet rush into sin. They are swift to shed blood. How useless to spread a net in full view of all the birds. These men lie in wait for their own blood. They waylay only themselves. Such is the end of all who go after ill-gotten gain. It takes away the lives of those who get it. Wisdom, though, calls aloud in the street. She raises her voice in the public square. At the head of the noisy streets she cries out. In the gateways of the city she makes her speech. How long will you simple ones love your simple ways? How long will mockers delight in mockery and fools hate knowledge? If you had responded to my rebuke, I would have poured out my spirit on you and made my thoughts known to you. But since you rejected me when I called, and no one gave heed when I stretched out my hand, since you ignored all my advice and would not accept my rebuke, I, in turn, will laugh at your disaster. I will mock when calamity overtakes you like a storm, when disaster sweeps over you like a whirlwind, when distress and trouble overwhelm you. Then you will call to me, but I will not answer. They will look for me, but will not find me. Since they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord, since they would not accept my advice and spurn my rebuke, they will eat the fruit of their ways and be filled with the fruit of their schemes. For the waywardness of the simple will kill them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will live in safety and be at ease without fear of harm." That last section where it starts talking about how long will you simple ones love your simple ways? How long will mockers delight? If you would have responded to my rebuke, if you would have listened to my ways, that whole section there is wisdom speaking to people. You know, it's interesting, a couple different things that we see in here. Wisdom is portrayed as a person that wants to go along with you, that wants to be your friend, that wants to be your guide, that wants you to follow them. Wisdom. And yet it also kind of looks at counteracting wisdom versus some of the foolishness that we see in this world. There's this whole section here in verse 10 and down to about 17. It says, "My son, if sinners entice you, don't go with them, because they say all these things. Let's do these things. Let's get ill-gotten gain. Let's waylay some innocent person." And it goes on to say they're actually just waylaying themselves. They're actually just harming themselves. So we see wisdom that's calling out to you and me, and it says, "Follow me and you will be safe. You will have safety, you will be at ease, and you will be without fear and without harm." That's what wisdom offers. But foolishness, the foolishness of this world, offers something exactly the opposite. Harm, and in fact, harm that you bring on yourself. We've got this basketball camp that we do at Crossroads, and oftentimes we are talking to the kids about being very, very careful with the friends that they choose and who they choose to hang out with. Proverbs 1 is saying, be very careful with the friends that you choose and who you hang out with. And our saying at basketball camp is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Basically saying that whoever you're hanging out with, your future depends on the people that you're hanging out with. If you're hanging out with good people, you'll have a good future. If you're hanging out with bad people or people who are foolish, you will probably have a lot of foolish harm that happens to you in your future. Or as 1 Corinthians 15 says, Paul is talking to the church in Corinth, and in verse 33 he says, bad company corrupts good character. I think Proverbs chapter 1 would agree with that. But at the very beginning, and I think this is the main focus of this, the writer, Solomon, is known to be the wisest person on earth. And he starts this whole idea of Proverbs, giving wisdom through these statements by saying, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. Solomon got his start as a king, but he was a very young boy. And he knew he was not able to lead the people of Israel. And we see him actually in 1 Kings praying out to God, God, I need your wisdom in order to lead these people. God had told him, I'll give you anything you want. I'm here to basically grant your wish. And his wish was that he would have wisdom enough to lead the people that God had called him to lead. That's pretty wise. That's pretty smart. I think Solomon already had a little bit of wisdom in his heart that God had given him before he'd even asked the question. So for you and I today, I would say there's a couple of things that we can learn from Proverbs chapter 1 here. First of all, look around you and look at the environment that you're hanging out with. Look at the people you're hanging out with. Show me your friends, and your future is probably going to look something similar. Are you hanging out with the people that are first talked about in Proverbs chapter 1? People who are doing foolish things, looking at foolish gain, trying to be selfish? Your future is probably going to have harm in it. Or are you following along with wisdom as she calls to you and she says, if you follow me, if you come after me, if you follow my lead, you will have blessing, you will have goodness, you will have safety, you will have ease, you will not have fear, and you would not have harm. And the second thing I would say is, if you are lacking wisdom, James says, if anybody lacks wisdom, he should ask the Lord, who gives without discretion. God is the one who gives wisdom. Proverbs says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. If you're seeking some wisdom in your life today, maybe just generally, or maybe about a very specific situation, you need to seek the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.